What is up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Today I want to discuss two possible reasons why you don't feel creative, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because I went through long periods of my life where I didn't feel very inspired, didn't feel very creative, and which hurts a lot if you think of yourself as a creative person. And I think these two reasons apply to me, and maybe they will help you guys out if you just consider these two things. So the first possible reason why you don't feel creative is that you're numbing yourself from your own emotions. And this is very tempting because if you have a harsh life, you've gone through a lot, and you are a sensitive person, then it might be tempting to suppress your feelings and not really express yourself fully and fully be vulnerable. But the problem is, to be creative, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. That's the only way you'll be able to be creative. And I know this isn't easy, right? If you've gone through a lot in your life, it's very challenging to be fully open and to digest all of those emotions coming in. It can be it's much easier, right, to just numb yourself, but you have to be fully open and fully vulnerable if you want to be creative. And one step that you can take that I found very useful is to start journaling, start writing out your feelings. That's like the first step to be more open and be less numb. And that's reason number one that I found within myself that made it harder to be creative. So the second possible reason why you don't feel creative is that maybe you undervalue your own experience. And I think this is very common, where people undervalue themselves. They think that their experience isn't special enough, quote unquote, not special enough. And this is also made way worse by social media, where people think that you have to do something special to be important. Like your value gets diminished if you're not doing something special, which is super detrimental to being creative, because being creative is about valuing your own experience. Like if you're trying to express yourself, you have to value it at some point. You have to treat it with value for you to be open and feel inspired by your day-to-day life. Creativity is really born out of the mundane. It's the day-to-day experiences that people express through their work that matters, because it's not about the physical reality, it's about the internal. It's like, what are you experiencing internally when you're going through your day-to-day life? Even small things can create beautiful pieces of art, because if you think about it, people in the past, master artists of the past, they didn't have special experiences like we have now. They couldn't travel the world, they couldn't do these things that we consider special now, but they still made beautiful art because they focused on their internal reality, how they felt inside about their experience, their life. And they valued it enough to put on pieces of paper, and that's how they created beautiful work. And that's what you need to do. You need to value your day-to-day experience, your internal reality, and then put that on paper or painting or canvas, whatever you're using. You could make a beautiful piece of art by focusing on the experience of drinking a warm cup of coffee. Like you could take that experience, focus on how that feels, and then make a piece of art that represents that feeling, and people would connect to it because that feeling would be universal. A good example of like taking the mundane and making it interesting is Calvin and Hobbes, the comic. The comic is set in a very mundane, kind of normal town, but the artist really captured the childlike imagination that he remembers having in that town. So he took something that was mundane, but then made it special by focusing on that feeling of like a childlike imagination, taking a tiger plushie and making it a real tiger. What would that feel like? Focusing on that experience and thinking about that experience allowed him to be super creative and created this masterpiece that everyone connects to, because everyone understands that feeling of like, oh yeah, being a child, feeling bored, and then making things more special by just like using the imagination. These are things that we all can connect to, and you can do the same thing by focusing on your mundane experiences, but focusing on how it actually feels internally. So what do we do with this information? How do we move forward, right? So what I would recommend is to start writing about your day, either in a journal or in your sketchbook. Just write about the mundane things you go through. And it could be about, a cup of coffee you had, or the smell of a bakery that you passed by. Well, assuming you're not still in quarantine, you write about these very mundane things and start treating your day-to-day experiences with higher value by writing about them, by really focusing in on what did I experience today, even though my day wasn't quote unquote special. Life really is about the small things, and if you think about your friendships and you think about the people that you have in your life, you probably really appreciate their small quirks, the things that might seem insignificant at a distance, but up close they are significant. Just the way they laugh, the way they eat maybe, like these small things matter. And if you treat yourself with the same lens, like if you treat yourself like a friend, where you value the small things, the day-to-day mundane things, you'll find that your life is full of creative experiences, things that would be inspiring if you just put them on paper, if you treated them with value. You will feel more creative once you recognize the richness of your inner life. And that's it. Those are the two things that I figured out that were holding back my creativity. Hopefully this helps you. Thank you so much for checking this video out. I'll see you guys in the next one. And if you're interested in learning how to draw, I have a bunch of free drawing tutorials over on the website, and make sure to sign up for the mailing list while you're there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Bye bye.